What does it mean to be ethnically English? What does it mean to be ethnically British? What do we mean by ethnic in the context of Britishness and Englishness? Do we mean colour? I'm not sure we do mean colour.
This caller sounds confident at first, but confidence and coherence are two very different things. What starts as an immigration complaint quickly turns into something much bigger and far more revealing. In this LBC segment, Tom is about to take a call that begins with the usual talking points about immigration, pressure on the country, and people being unhappy. Nothing new there. We've heard those claims 1,000 times before. But here's what makes this one different. The caller, Neil, doesn't just complain about policy. He drifts into a much deeper argument about identity, ownership, and who he thinks truly belongs in England. And that's where these conversations often go when the surface-level talking points start collapsing. What Neil is basically trying to say is this: Britain isn't just changing. It's being taken away from the people he believes are the real English. Now pause there, because that wording matters. When someone says, we're losing our country, the first question should always be, who is we? And the second question is, who are you accusing of taking it? That's the part many callers hope never gets challenged. They want to stay vague. They want emotional slogans without specifics. But Tom, to his credit, is about to force clarity. And once clarity arrives, so does the contradiction. Because if your argument is truly about housing, wages, public services, or integration, then talk about policy, talk about numbers, talk about planning failures. Those are legitimate debates. But when the conversation instantly shifts into what it means to be English, that tells you something else is driving the frustration. Think about it like this. If someone says they're worried about traffic, but 5 seconds later they're ranting about who should be allowed on the road, then traffic was never the real issue. Now, to be fair, many people do have genuine concerns about immigration levels, infrastructure, and social cohesion. Those are real political questions, and pretending otherwise helps no one. But the issue is when those concerns become a disguise for gatekeeping identity. That's not a policy argument, it's a belonging argument, and this is why it matters. Because once debates move from how do we manage change to who counts as one of us, the entire conversation becomes more toxic, more divisive, and far less honest. So watch carefully what happens next. Tom keeps asking simple questions, and Neil keeps revealing more than he probably intended. I'll be sharing my full thoughts at the end of this clip. Like the video and subscribe right now. I've got some strong thoughts on this exchange. Let's take a closer look at this clip.
Neil's in Stevenage. Neil.
Hi. So look, people are angry. People are mobilising. People are aware of the harm that's been done to this country. Of something like 100,000 girls, according to that report, were raped or groomed by men who are predominantly Pakistani Muslims. And there is a community of people that have come into this country, millions of them, millions, who intend to take it from us. And we are aware of that. And you shrug your shoulders and you go, oh, look, millions of people are coming, that's awful, you should be against more coming in. But what about the people here now? London is 70% gone from us. Every major city in this country is now a majority of outsiders. And people want to get their country back. And it hasn't been like over 100 years this has happened. This has happened since the year 2000.
When you say London is Neil, when you say London is gone from us, that it is 70% outsiders.
And this silly viewpoint, it's almost like you're being.
What does that mean, sir?
You know what I mean by us.
No. You know what? Yeah, okay, I do. You mean white British, don't you? You mean white British?
Tom, you're English.
Yes.
And so am I.
Yes.
And we have shared culture, traditions, values, cuisine, everything, music. We are a people. And we are losing our country. And the Labour Party is a treasonous organisation that while it was in opposition was...
But Neil, what you mean is white, don't you? You mean it's white.
Yes, I do.
Right, okay.
But see, that's the main culture. We are a culture.
What's white culture, though? What does white culture mean? Because there are all sorts of white people. Hang on a sec. Neil, there are all sorts of white people all over the world. They have different cultures.
Tom, listen. English people are an ethnic group. Like Dutch people, Frisian people, Danish people, Basque people, Catalan people.
Yes.
We are an ethnic group. Now, you can marry into our society. You can join us. You can adopt our culture. And over generation, you can become part of this body.
But Neil, when you watch
you can't
okay,
move
sir,
here and say you're English and be
fine.
English. You're not.
I understand that. I understand. Fine. Do you follow football? Do you follow cricket? Do you follow sport of any kind?
Yes.
When you watch the England football team, where non-white English players are playing, are they ethnically English to you?
No, they're not.
Why? They were born here. Their parents were born here.
Change to ethnic group.
No, but Neil, if the qualifying characteristic of being English is were you born here?
Shared ancestry. Shared culture.
But how shared do you want it? Because their parents were born here too.
You have to at least marry into our community.
But Neil, the parents of an England footballer who is non-white, his parents... Neil, hang on a sec. Because this is very interesting definition of what it means to be English in your view. If the parents of an England... Hang on, you've got to let me ask the question, sir.
Go on, then.
If the parents of a black English football player are born in England...
Yes.
That player is born in England. They are representing their country. My question to you, Neil, are they ethnically English?
Let me reply, okay? If two black people moved to this country and never learnt English and brought up their child not to speak English and ignored everything around them and just lived in an introspective bubble where they didn't meet or talk to or make any attempt to integrate with English ethnic people, then no, they're not. Just because you're born here doesn't make you part of our nation.
Well, how do I know you are? You're born here. How do I know that you're ethnically English?
You can't over the radio, obviously.
But you would say you can. You would say I would instantly recognise you as being ethnically English, even though you might only live in a bubble of one.
Do you believe that ethnic groups exist?
Say again?
Do you believe ethnic groups exist?
I believe that you can have an ethnicity, of course.
Do you recognise the fact that until the 1970s, about 90% of the population in London were from the English ethnic group?
And that means born in England?
No, it doesn't.
Right, what does it mean then?
It means more than that. English people happen to be white. It's not our fault, but we are. Chinese
but
people.
But not every English person
Chinese.
Is white, Neil. You agree that not every English person is white?
I believe that some communities that have settled here over generations can become British, particularly Afro-Caribbean people, Afro-Caribbean black people. But when you have communities where you have one man from Pakistan with a wife from Pakistan who both speak Urdu at home, who are both Muslims, who only eat Pakistani food, who bring their children up to be Pakistani first, they're colonists.
What you're talking about is integration.
Our cities,
what you're talking
they're
about...
not intense where you live,
pointless.
But they are for real people in this country, all around the country.
What you're
in Birmingham, all across Yorkshire, Liverpool, all across Lancashire, most of London. We are losing our home, and we've got nowhere to go, Tom. Where do we go?
Neil, what you're talking about... Okay, I'm going to give it one more go, Neil. If you're just going to keep shouting, this isn't going to work.
It's because you're being so disingenuous. You're not even...
I'm asking you questions, and the questions are... What you're talking about there is integration. And I, to an extent, agree with you. It is a very bad thing for people to come into the country, to not integrate at all, to not be able to speak the language. It's a very, very bad thing.
Do you accept that millions haven't integrated?
Depends on what you mean by integrate. But I think...
okay. But if I'm saying to you that you can't have communities living all together in large groups that don't intermarry, that keep every single cultural thing from home and don't adopt any of ours except sort of nebulous British values about being nice in the queue, which mean nothing. Okay, the country is being colonised.
I don't agree with you. I don't think the country is being colonised. And I don't understand why you can't say or can't agree or can't believe that a person who is born here, who shares the values that you do, who speaks the language, who eats a roast dinner and likes watching England play football. I don't understand why you can't say that person might not be white.
Am I still being heard, Tom? If you are saying that anyone can be English just because they say they are...
No, I'm not saying that. That's not what I'm saying.
That English just doesn't exist.
No,
that's what you're saying. That's offensive.
Neil, at no point have I suggested that, and I don't think that's true. I'll give you this is the final question I'm going to ask you, sir. Rishi Sunak, and there was a question about this, so I'm not taking this example completely off the top of my head. Rishi Sunak, born in Southampton, comes from Indian descent. Is he culturally, ethnically English?
He's not ethnically English, as you well know. He's probably Anglo-Indian or British Indian or something like that. Look, culturally, he's adopted many of our norms and values, but he's not ethnically English.
So,
and we have a homeland, and this is our homeland.
So, to be ethnically English, you need to be white.
No, not exclusively. You
Right.
need to have ancestors who are from this country that have been here more than one generation.
Okay, so we now say that to be ethnically English, you need 2 generations of your family to have been born here? 3, 4?
No, I think you
What do
need
put
to
it
have
as?
some ancestors who have been here for
Some.
hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years?
It's an insult on your intelligence and mine, Tom. You know, Tom, that your
Tommy
Swarbrick
Robinson's
ancestors
family.
have been
Tommy
living
Robinson's
here for
family came from
thousands of
Ireland.
years.
His grandmother
Your
was
ancestors,
Irish.
Tom, have been living here for thousands
No.
of years.
I put myself right. Tommy Robinson's mother was Irish. So
Yeah,
is
good
Tommy
child.
Robinson ethnically English?
No, he's not. He's half.
Okay. It's a confused picture. Neil, thank you very much indeed. I'm here to tell you that, according to the Office for National Statistics, about 40.6% of London's usual residents were born outside the UK, according to the 2021 census. I don't know where Neil gets 70% from, I have to say. But this is the kind of conversation that is happening, I suspect, as people were walking shoulder to shoulder in that protest. That is not to say everybody, of course, but what does it mean to be ethnically English? What does it mean to be ethnically British? What do we mean by ethnic in the context of Britishness and Englishness? Do we mean colour? I'm not sure we do mean colour.
At first, Neil sounds certain of himself, but certainty is not the same thing as substance. And the longer Tom let him speak, the more the entire argument collapsed in real time. In this final part of the LBC exchange, Neil is discussing immigration, identity, and what he calls losing our country. But what he's really trying to argue is something much narrower. Neil's basic claim is that being English is not about citizenship, contribution, language, or loyalty. It's about ancestry, appearance, and a bloodline test he keeps rewriting as he goes. And that's where Tom completely exposed the weakness in the argument. Because once Tom asked the obvious question, what about non-white England footballers representing England? Neil had nowhere to go. He couldn't say yes without undermining his own position, and he couldn't say no without revealing what the argument was really about. So he chose no. That was the moment everything became clear. This wasn't about values. It wasn't about integration. It wasn't about civic identity. It was about exclusion dressed up as patriotism. Then Tom brought up Rishi Sunak, born in Southampton, British Prime Minister, a man who has operated at the highest level of British politics. And even then, Neil still refused to call him ethnically English. Think about how extreme that standard is. If someone can be born here, raised here, lead the country, adopt every institution of public life, and still not qualify in your eyes, then your definition is not national identity. It's a closed club with shifting rules. And here's the part many people missed. Neil kept changing the criteria every time Tom challenged him. First, it seemed to be about being white. Then it became ancestry. Then hundreds of years. Then culture. Then integration. Then marriage into communities. That constant movement tells you something important. When a person keeps changing the rules, it usually means the real rule is the one they don't want to say out loud. Tom didn't need to shout. He didn't need to lecture. He simply kept asking questions, and Neil did the damage himself. That's often how these conversations work. Once specifics replace slogans, the confidence starts to wobble. Now, to be fair, there are legitimate conversations to be had about immigration policy, integration, housing pressure, wages, and social cohesion. Those are real issues and serious topics. But the issue is when those concerns are used as a gateway into racial gatekeeping. That's not a principle, it's a preference. And this is why it matters. Because once public debate becomes obsessed with deciding who is really British or really English, we stop talking about solutions and start arguing over identity purity tests that solve nothing. And that is the real problem with arguments like Neil's. Loud emotion, weak logic, and rules that only apply when convenient, like the video and subscribe, for more sharp political breakdowns like this.